when you start down this path, you know, you'll sit with the oncologist and they're like, here's our plan. We're gonna do 6 rounds of chemo, we're gonna do surgery, we're gonna do 25 rounds of radiation. This is your plan. Thank you very much. And then women get married to this idea, I have to do all this, I have to do this. And then as you move through the steps, you know, you're suffering these side effects, all this stuff is going down, and no one wants to talk about it. And a lot of times they're not invited to talk about it. My name's Beth. I am 43 years old, mother of 2, and a physiotherapist. Back in February 2019, I was diagnosed with a grade 3, stage 3 breast cancer, the most common kind. And from there, things moved pretty quick. I had chemotherapy first because the tumor was so large. It was estimated to be 10 centimeters big. And yeah, so I had chemotherapy, and then I had mastectomy on one side, then I had radiation, and then a year after that I had mastectomy on the other side, preventative, and reconstruction. So it was really 2 years of pretty intensive treatment. When they do a mastectomy, you get pathology back. So I'm reading this report, and it talks about like my tissue and how dense it is. That was the first time I ever knew and was on my pathology. After they had removed my breast from me, did I learn about what my density was, and of course it was 4. And I think for women with dense breasts, knowing that might change your trajectory, and then maybe I could have caught it a bit earlier. It wouldn't have kept me from getting breast cancer, right? But maybe we could have been doing imaging earlier. I wish I could have had that conversation with my family doctor. I would have liked to have had that conversation, you know? The pros and cons of doing earlier imaging. I do remember her once saying to me, oh, I don't want to do mammograms on you because I'm worried about the amount of radiation, which is ironic, because now think about how much radiation I had. You know, physical activity, movement was all part of who I am as a physiotherapist, obviously. I really used movement and exercise as a way to cope and to feel like I was doing something useful for myself. Throughout the 2 years of treatment, I got really in to Pilates, yoga. I was already involved with Breast Cancer Action Ottawa. I had great fitness classes, and yoga classes specifically are the ones I did. And it was just with people in treatment, outside of treatment. It was so awesome to be with a group of women who were at all different phases of treatment. Some people had been survivors, like many were seniors, like they had breast cancer 20 years ago. Some were in treatment at the same time. So one person would be bald, one person would have a full head of white hair. And I brought so much comfort in that. And then we would meet before and have like tea and then exercise and meet after. And yeah, it was a huge part, I think, of getting through treatment as I did. 4 months before I got diagnosed, I had started my master's of health administration degree. And so I'd already made a decision in my head. I was wanting to transition from the front line to more of an administrative or leadership role, and I had taken all these steps and done them. I was really excited about it. And then this came. And so a lot of the feedback I got right away was like, oh, you're gonna stop your master's. And I'm like, no, I'm not. At this point, I did it through University of Regina, so it was already remote, it was already online. And I think that was another, along with the exercise, I think the schooling was another big coping mechanism for me, for sure. Because it shifted my focus a little bit, where I had to kind of outwardly focus. And because I like school and I like learning, I'm sure that was a help as well. So I continued through those 2 years, and I actually completed my master's degree before I returned to work. And I think from a work perspective, now that I've been in sort of a management role and now I'm in a quality and risk role, the other big thing I've taken away from this is patient voice patient, what they call patient-driven care or patient-directed care, is a really, really big thing for me. And I recently just joined, or was invited to join the board of directors for Arm Prior Health. So now I'm going to be sitting on a hospital board of directors, which is a really big deal for me. But that's where how cancer has sort of shifted my heart a little bit. Like, and I said that in the interview. You know, like, I think one of the questions was, what do you hope to accomplish over the next year as a director? And I just said, I just want to bring some perspective. Like, I just want to bring some perspective on what it's like to be a patient. And having been a healthcare worker, I still consider myself a healthcare worker, but having worked at the front line and then been on the other side of it, there's so much work to be done. So that's, I think, sort of my mission going forward over this next kind of half of my career is I'd like to continue to shift people's perspective on what good patient care looks like. And really, the truth of that is that it looks like what the patient wants it to be.